me this is go show so yeah because oh dear me surprise
it is well
but do be able go
yeah we bra yeah we be I fine so
it is well na nka be she me space no na me tie musansa am so no eze bi me tie kan sem ni
and on tie ase o
me there is one thing about me will view and policy as a communicator for politically exposed person. May have a template in addressing process.
Yeah.
And especially, it will not be wise for you to even attack the credibility of Musa.
Yeah.
Because we're gaining public trust.
Yeah.
And so, ebasa, kwese bese paniko na de ahabai, but the first testing the banyansa fum.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, no, semi discrediting Musa, the first question was say, vote to ban the Canada Agyapong. It really doesn't add anything to Canada Agyapong.
Right.
But there are ordinary Ghanaians and reasonable Ghanaians. One of them say, I'm just being in a denial state. Because one more year the agency. When people build trust and credibility, a weapon.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can use it well, sometimes they can also weaponize it.
Yeah.
Mama, clear instance. I mean, that is my personal reservations. Way is not a campaign issue.
Yeah.
Somebody like Anas is somebody I have issues with.
Yeah.
Why? Because I say we build a public trust, and he's relevant because state institutions are also more fighting corruption has failed, and some way somehow we burn as the Messiah.
Yeah.
But in being Messiah, no, I say now so much chema kakrebi yede. Ewo who are the same adana or fight no, or say you see the public trust no. And then or done confidence in a way, and also abuse the trust. That's me.
All right.
The process can do that.
Right.
But whether they are doing that or they are not doing that, we obia make us say, address certain issues like this. How do you go it? And me, I've addressed Musa on so many occasions. First time Odipo buying, I picked their phone and called him. Now me call Joy. Now me see opening now. We the assementi ase kakra. Because even the last election, Dr. Baumia had almost 137 members of parliament supporting him because he was an establishment candidate. So, over 6,000 appointees, the best you can do is to shut up.
Right.
Also, DCs were his campaign coordinators by default.
Yeah.
All the 276 constituencies. All constituency executives, all the 17. Who could draw born in Abakacha's on your day on support.
Right.
So he was indeed the establishment candidate. And President Akufo-Addo was very intentional. And this is Akufo the enemy. Who's Akufo the also my Juma, Medobane Chifala Monya de Momuano. We just are we just made the neighbor Mumpo Monya de Munsonimu.
All right.
Despite their course so having the state security apparatus to engineer everything on the election day, only 61% too.
Right.
Tiasemni you. Tidipa only 61% are Kennedy or no literally barely about 6 months or they prepare for elections, so it will be 37%. Then afi and then normal says the waves and momentum Ken has been able to sustain it for that long. Now I heard Brian's what tells him. Brian was in Baumia's camp, so okay,
yeah.
Very strong.
Yeah.
Arguably now there are speculations that vice presidential near Tepono.
Right.
Me and Papa Dr. Duchum. I mean, you can downplay him in all the regions, but Ashanti factor and Ashanti cars he's playing, you can't take his about 7% from him.
Yeah.
What I say? Because observation and reasonability are also variables and components in research.
Yeah.
What I say? You're going to research, I can tell you, about Yakotono, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, Donald Trump being at 12%. It won't be reasonable. It defied the logic and consistency. Said no, because there are references in previous elections. A bit to the Agaide. Agyapong no need about your camp, and no contestino. President Akufo-Addo was the one who was in the helms of affairs. No other ship no ko. Because he's and no abandon ship no. Until Lord come in no money ade no be up baby the chair day. Afa. I'm not able. I don't have the permission to label baby a binumi day.
Yeah.
But at least with President Akufo-Addo, with Kwasi Kwarteng, with Dr. Agyapong, and with Dr. Duchum, these are objective realities and they will be there.
Yeah.
And these are big fishes. No, all of a sudden they will pull from. And the MPs could be the Ken ho. So now I feel Ken no no 37 na Dr. Baumiana the camp match almost by 5 different divisions. You know, Ken mum now drops to 17. Okay. But this is my approach. Me, I see every poll as a guide and a template to guide you and a good feedback for you.
Right.
Because some of the polls will favor you. Now, only pool no, pool how the basis is that first of all you have to look at the methodology in the AUC. Methodology na predicted outcome in the ebenya.
Yeah.
In Musa's case, this is the one more random sampling to feed in efa.
Yeah.
Assuming say feed in fa, or my program say feed in fa, enipa 20 from each constituency in a fair randomly. That itself will give a bias and skewness. One more delegate is about 1,800. Oba Formena is about 230. And if we are picking 10 randomly from each constituency,
but I know
it will be disproportionate.
But what if ABA stratify sampling? Which say in stratify sampling,
yes.
Oh yeah, now what their unity so that you know that say baby swan oma more sampling
exactly
and a baby swan so
100%. Me bahano. I'm not sure that dantem because I mean without disrespect to any journalist, there are some you go you don't even prepare.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that dantem because I wanted to rest and I am not flow saying some of them be say what questions and not necessarily so on a certain question but sometimes to be guided. No. Me am flow organically say and I'm happy where you are going. Yes, as at now no. We don't have. I have not had the opportunity to review the full methodology that you see.
Yeah.
But I'm borrowing his own words.
Yeah.
I'll say move to go randomly.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that when you do the random sampling, one of them could be the simple random and the stratified now. Now the argument could be A or B.
Yeah.
And either of them, no, it could be their working.
Yeah.
It could also be their making.
Say
but
maybe issue 10.
Yes. Who you to 10. So then you get the bias thing.
Right.
And you say you're wrong. But the outcome will be a bit skewed based
because
on the methodology.
Because a bit does to change. It's also DB.
Yes. And you can find the 10. Now can find from 10. You won't get the true representation.
That's also true.
And you may be doing a percentage terms. If you are doing percentage terms there, then it will be reasonable. Percentage terms, you'll be doing about 180 people, whilst a beer. If you're using 10%, maybe a formula, you'll be doing around 27 people.
Exactly.
What I say. So we may have to get clarity into it. But for me, this is my view.
I'm decided for
I'm coming there.
Yeah.
For me, this is my position on polls. Papa Musa Danko I will not sit here and discredit him.
Right.
He's done his job. Osha, there are pollings that he's predicted so right. If you look at, for instance, 2020, Obayachu.
Yeah.
2019. He was able to get what almost President Akufo-Addo had. No, he had it almost right.
Right.
But President Mahama had 34%. But President Mahama had around 43. 10% difference.
Yeah.
And the polling there is not absolute.
Yeah.
It's just a projection in. That's not so for crying polling.
Yeah, of course.
What I say? But the whole point is that it's just a feedback to make us to work so hard. There are other polls that has predicted so right and so strongly for Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now Sanity Africa there
Yeah.
TV3
Yeah.
Mindjoy
Yeah.
And all of them Ken is leading.
Adumuswa,
all of them Ken is leading.
Yeah.
Sanity Africa crowd was targeted delegates specifically. But the reason why Musa Danquest's own has become topical is because of the relevance he's built for himself over the history.
I get it.
And
yeah.
Can hold kakra because I was a pandit.
Yeah.
And quickly what he did was or making youth and started then doing exit poll. So that if it is not here, the exit will then vindicate him. There is no 100% precision. But I mean reasonably, objectively. How would then somebody move from 17 with all this background from 37 with all this background and history of
but so may on say nano or analysis.
Yes.
The delegate system no. Momu delegates no. And Kokrafoni also.
Yes.
And these people, it's difficult to change.
The last time he mentioned about 70-something%, but when I checked the data, it was less than that. It was around 54.
Now even 54,
yes. But
when you have 54, even 50% as delegates are from 50 years and above.
That would be around 45 plus.
Yeah, so even 45, but they are conservative. They're against JJ4 because 45 years JJ.
Yes.
It is typically a strong MPP person ono a won koto mandis bo won koto aba sa person no be delegator na won say we ni epe no ana yento ne so a ne nsesan no say den kakra
ne nsesan den unim it boils down to nkomo ye betwitwin it boils down to messaging.
Okay,
it is undisputed say your researcher aye ne nkomo aye die nyina no Dr. Bawumia solely hope and idea the straw he's holding on Brian so funny the second chance. Oh, and if I am Kennedy or I'm a communicator of Kennedy, my only issue, and as I say, the only burden on me is say I should explain to the delegates why second chance in MPP, even though it's a true history, but the proper history, has always been contingent on performance.
Okay.
What I say? Juma. What I say? And polling there, when you say duration also counts. In the next 5 days, no be na depending on also a Juma aye. But the skewness of the figure to tell me say Brandy Champo benya 1%. Who kwase o ebe yon kakra.
But say on the side, and make us on the side the view wa.
Yes.
And no to me
it's 27%. Yes.
You understand?
27,
that's a lot.
Yeah. When you are an establishment candidate, people are not afraid to associate themselves with you.
Okay.
Nti Dr. Bawumia no establishment no be anim say yesi bia ebi susu say executives di nachi ebi susu say penifo we na share nachi wono no de ehunu ne yefiri who's establishment there technically it's like the party is for you.
Yeah.
I mean some way somehow obi ani wa osuro say obeka che oso ama establishment candidate and say obi obeka che so undecided bia ye nipa so ye de ohwe ni yi. Me if you ask me, I'm not worried because I calculate Ken votes to be the 17% no or the amount no but you bet him about 17 plus undecided is 24 me one.
Yeah.
17 plus 24 me say 17 plus 24 should give us 41%. Now, assuming without admitting this logic is to suffice, because now we are all doing analysis.
Yeah.
This logic is to suffice. Now, Bawumia stands as 47, Ken stands at what? 41.
So you know, can say likely say
run off. I'm not worried, bro. But when him say me a Bawumia fan, and if I'm a Bawumia's camper, I should be worried. Do you know how I should be worried?
Tell me.
In a year ago, I had 61% in the last primaries. With all the support and the machinations and the establishment support on only 61%.
Right.
Then Musa did the polling just last month. Polling our year last month, when is that Dr. Bawumia on 52%, right? And in the space of 1 month, Dr. Bawumia has dropped from 52% to say 47%. That is a 5 percentage point drop, very significant. And if the trajectory is to go like that from 61 to 52 to 47 in the next 4 months, but no one is what to drop by 20%.
Possible.
Yes, and then could drop by 20%, and also 32%. And I don't see Dr. Bawumia crossing 32%.
32% for delegates, Nana.
Yes, you could have
Hey, Kwasi. I don't say Dr. 30%.
Dabi we data Musa na kwa data na di you. Ti asem bi you.
Say wonya Dr. Bawumia data.
Na 30%. Mami fa de bi bia. No me afun ti o. Musa jan to ti.
Say kwa akoto
aba. Me bra pani no ti. Asem ni ni.
Yeah.
Now no nya 61%.
Right.
With the delegates, and no verifiable votes.
Yeah.
Then Musa just last month did the polling. So polling not just about me had dropped from because the album has not changed significantly.
Right.
And he has dropped from 61% to 52% in the last election. Last poll now Musa in the space of 1 month, we're moving from 52 to 47.
Right.
That is 5 percentage point drop. Yes, that's what 5. And until Oka said there's likely to be runoff. Assuming without admitting, second, 8 and 5 percentage points now they are dropping. Can just 4 regions so. And Odinya 5 percentage drop on affected by me. It is a can to me other 12 regions near the account. As I had a back to back. What it means in this, if you are to go by Musa's own analogy. Every month be or 5% now. The next 4 months of Dr. Bawumia so quoted 20%. What 20 free? Because I said 20 free 47 he is around 27. And I'm so Papa didn't mean 32%.
And even 32.
By Musa don't quite
na can is when you say.
Hey, na say me I'm projecting around
record you.
Yeah, I'm projecting. You see, me, I'm a very realistic person.
I understand. Tell me, see your recording.
Yes, I'm
recording.
I'm projecting.
Cameras, bear me. I am for the name also.
Oh, you need to grab it in my house.
Okay,
It is my projection. Say Ken may be. It is my projection that Ken may be doing around 62 to 64%.
Mr. repeat.
It is my projection. Say Ken may be doing around 62 to 64%. We are winning Western North.
Okay.
We are winning Ahafo.
Okay.
We are winning Bono. Bono is, as at now, we may need to work so hard.
Right.
But Bono is, say, Yentime winning pa, very close.
Right.
Savannah will be close.
Okay.
The other 4 northern regions, Dr. Baumia will win.
Okay.
But upper east. Sorry.
Northeast.
No. Northeast. Upper east, Boko issues, It will also be very close because of the Kusasis and the Mamprisis factor, where Kusasis from Council and also power.
Right.
We win Greater Accra.
Okay.
Right? We win Eastern. We win Volta. Dr. Baumia be winning. It's likely he will win Oti. Asante obviously will be a decider.
Okay.
Asante no say a beam because now okay the last time Asante nya first lady because candidates will be in free house.
Yeah.
Dr. Baumia free enough. Ken is also from Asante even though we're living a life in our Kumasia.
Oh, candidates.
The 2 leading candidates.
Okay. Yeah.
Say Brian also free.
I now refu papa ntina na mentiazi.
Oh, there be say asema can.
Can you say for?
Oh, they make the 2 leading one.
Okay. Obi en free.
So contest biano. Where they are, you have the dominant ones.
Supporters in this will play Brian for ne. When I'm coming Agyapong for the 0. No, it's not fair to us.
Oh,
what they meet you.
But so
Kwabran so free as Korima.
Yeah. Wow, Okasa. Oh yeah, interview ni Musa Ekano. But this is about the 32 day. But this is about Brandy.
Oh, the team.
But let me put it this way. So the 2 leading candidates, which is Ken and Dr. Baumia, will be in free her.
Okay.
Right. But case in the say, identity politics is very real.
Very.
We are almost so when I think for harmonious living in the identity politics is very real.
It's true.
It's true. How come all the 11 MPs from the north now what to be that? But the point is the last time Asante region, first lady was Kunedu.
Yeah.
In the history, I know Claude Nya President Kofo.
Yeah.
As we are 2 abasine, we are Ghana ni penina.
I say no free bono, ne yeri free bono side.
Yeah, me tell no President Kofo no free ha.
Yeah.
But ne yeri crowd no free ha.
Yeah.
But we have President Kofo any Kunedu. We've not had any other person close to the presidency again. No.
That's true.
What I say.
That's true.
And it is a case can you free Mampo here.
Okay, as a great Mampo.
There be a
Asante Mampo. Okay, that's fine.
Asante Mampo say nano ye cry and she's going to be stationed here.
All right.
She's also going to be stationed or by Bruteti Hania Cry and most of the account communities to also campaign. And the air corner, the normalcy corner how projections in the me, I don't see can doing anything less than 62 to 64%.
All right. Now, Yankoha, I mean, congratulations in advance, Bema. But we cannot overrule outside the party.
Yes.
And I'm saying this because of the experience that we've had.
Okay.
I remember Muchusu Napo.
Yes.
And say it's a public knowledge on our position and what I said. Say you may be popular because even at the time Alan Freeman Keno, post waha. Yeah. Emma mu confirm me say instead of Baumia no Peken. It was clear.
Yes.
That I'm talking about 2024. That time Mumpono, instead of Baumia no more Peken. Yeah. But Mutuma Baumia, because they said that Mutuma Baumia won't win. They said it on a platform. The records are there. Now, Canon so I want the baggages. Yes. And Memusa will let Ken be Ken. But you see, Kakra means to me who Ghana for no say sometimes we can be a bit funny. Baby, what touchy. In Sembia or Kaye. Ebia delegates may forgive.
Yeah.
And then na more because don't overrule the anger outside. You may need them. Yeah. The pastoral, I've seen a lot of pastors they are still referring, even though I know say we're apologizing. But see, Ghanaians are funny. The header of trying to now come into the Ghana space where nanu being sema ubin so aheti what are you going to do about it?
I mean, sometimes I disagree with you on a lot of things, including your style as a journalist. But there's one thing I cannot take from you. There is one thing I cannot take from you. or sense of reasoning. Anyhow, was our question. Me, I like it like this. And I mean, state one of the stations I'm a choir manager. I join the city because I'm common was wrong. Me to train some near the eba. And my be my equi. And this is a very valid question. You see, me and Ambeka let can be Ken.
Yeah.
And I have to state it on record that let can be Ken was relevant then in a context. But right now, it's a message that gradually has to be toned down.
Okay.
But what did I mention as it? Because
BBM.
What was the context? The context was nobody cares about what Ken is bringing on board. All what everybody cares about is Ken is temperamental, Ken is this, Ken is this. They say yes. Nana, Ken the nipa. Just like me, no UTA. There were shortcomings. We have strengths and shortcomings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far I said be no more to it. Sometimes if you are exposed to their private life, that's
true.
But they manage it in a nice way.
Right.
Can have strengths or weaknesses. Said them say and no kind, you know. And then we be na papa. What I say. But even normal or you say your shortcomings, and so temperamental and it all depends on how we want to view it.
Okay.
And again, how we also want to harness it for the development of our country.
Right.
Nipa also a temperamental. No? It could be true. But have you also looked at Ken also being so passionate about getting results
done?
Say, I don't know why now Ken the one chima wo. I say Ken the what did the party for them? What was the contest? This is a man now from the 92 BC. He has always been in defense of the party.
Right.
What did you see? Your party, Juma, your party, where ya into another party next year. I feel na kobroso. Ya dear no na kuma ede ehano. Mama one instance.
Right.
Party focus ya President Akufo-Addo. Gabi Asaroche dako. Asante bedie to Osafumafo. No mu kushia party mpanifo ne party makakra.
Right.
E wo Gabi fi e wo Koforidua. No mu di nkomo na say no obi afafo recorded the Osafumafo ye de e kan. Na some Osafumafo kan ni modu ne hadwen so kakra.
Yeah.
Assembly say as a superiority complex and rivalry between the Achems and the Asantes.
Yeah.
Nipa no record we no de koma one farm ro inshira no one farm koma you one farm call mine so no de ko pro NDC station Accra FM no mo ko boy ankade or how no ye ni kese pa beto the Asantes and the Achems. Yeah no be ma Akufo-Addo like ka brahman inshira na be de e be patcho no be ya na sense so ye de eguzo. When Ken heard it, no see MPP for mo Kwasi.
Yeah.
You see how the context is he doesn't understand why any reasonable person
because in KNDC for nkomonye then na wo MPP ni wo be sa na say unim nyansa. And I agree.
What I say?
I agree.
Obia or how he addresses issues. Me I'm a communication person.
Yeah.
Musa Dankwadi Adebayi. Somebody will rubbish it. Oh, Musa Onya credible, papa.
Yeah.
I don't see it as anything to us. The mayor no boko. The mayor me address you. I can make us say dear nipa ye. There's a nyansa day anymore. Ken kanasa. Ken make us say moya kwasiafo. But you see, we are highly conservative, like we said.
Exactly.
What I say. And normally you also need to learn and adapt. But again, context is also very important.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is let us also not weaken our leaders, especially when we know say one more character traits be a bit my head. You have a be or you're bold or you're courageous. Also, you will timid challenging the party for or timid kind of create nipa. Why do we want to change such a person to fit into a certain template that we call presidential material from time immemorial 92 up to now?
Donald Trump
No, not really. Americans are different from us.
Okay.
But I'm saying that in as much as he keeps his strength, he also needs to balance it to also fit within the Ghana. That's why now it has changed from let Ken be Ken to
let Ken be Ken to
the old Ken fought for you, but the new Ken will build.
Say new Ken.
Yes, yeah, but you see, we are also
but
mindful.
Not because it's an open position. Because me I say, you would just say, Abranti, be none who fin pan. Or just say the Bianata, but Okaso pe SP no. If you have ban was shining,
we are also mindful not changing him. That's why I say or nipa or shortcomings.
Yeah.
And normally I'm sure say if you give him the opportunity on kind of side
I get it.
Not necessarily because position already always. My mom one example. Recently we catch him say Ken Kopa so far. And I said I won't even go and tell him this and he won't do it. No Musa now say what we do so far them or say Debbie. No say me a praise bini or me di me so far them. Me this would do Roman so for be at them. South of do matter me fine. Nigeria Gezi, but you could
but
be.
They have following. But they have following.
No problem with that.
You need them. You need them. So it's very important.
I agree with you, but make us some Nana.
Because so called one man church is more following.
Can never attack one. I'm coming, Nana.
No, but they feel. You see, you're explaining, which I agree. But the point is that sometimes it's not just. For example.
But if you had allowed me to land, I was coming though. If you had allowed me to
yeah.
land, the point I was making is what is the context? The context is not say Ken Edra Sofo and I pass off as him.
Yeah.
But this is Unkrofua. Subsequently, Omukra back Ken Fee and all the allegations he leveled against them. So more your car smuggling, yeah, Jim Crawford, I say, yeah, way ABC. They came to him to apologize to him.
Yeah, I get it.
So why then do you say? Ken should then make a U-turn and go and apologize to them in the name so position.
For the optics
yes, but for the balance is also that then people would then see Sakwano or Boha he's a hypocrite. Ken normal.
No, I'm not sure so Moka say Obwa because people loved it. I'm sure say the tone at which okay. You know, sometimes a bit me a kabibi. Nay no cre. But you see tone. There have been times I've been hard on an Ekufano. But they said, okay, no cre, but your tone. So I apologize. Then I do apologize. You understand?
Who apologizing for tone?
No, apologizing for the tone, which is very important because we are in the conservative environment. Adebi Ohanka, say okay, can be can say, but we can say. Communication because of our system. What they say, you can use nonsense in USA. You can say F the president in USA. Ebi awunti min kanisa. So people are saying, say, can the name so
but the tone is not the act.
No, but the tone is important because a gesture. In communication, gestures are very important. Tones are very important.
But how then do you go? For instance, somebody commits a grievous offense.
Yeah.
You condemn it in ultimate terms.
Yeah.
Then because you want a position as a presidential candidate or to be a president, you go and say, what are you going to apologize for? Say, I don't know why I said your kind of.
No, so bet me a come by the point of fire and you say ultimate or babatian or dog. And it's only a catch papa to me was a damas mabo. You know, so I think that no, that's a feedback for you. I think, for example, how you are communicating, very perfect. People are just praising how you are communicating because of that experience. Can me who my attitude need be one who I mean I like straightforward things and I am able to resonate. But in our system and conservative system, there are certain things you could say, but the how is important. Your friend said, "Nana, the how now what can no?" If you say, "You know, you the how no."
I agree with you.
So maybe the how.
Omaya, you jatwa hini woman. Know the context of Omaya. No.
Yeah.
Sometimes we should also not hide under the umbrella of conservatism. Let us also not run away from the canker culturally. Into us.
Exactly.
There are a lot of times that we don't have to be modest on certain situations.
I agree.
You have to be very hard.
Unfortunately,
my mom situation be this situation. I don't see the better tone that you can describe how I didn't go for the ekom. Say if you have been a victim to any person whose name maybe I may not want to repeat or mention again. If you are a victim to it, now you're vulnerable. Now yeah, Joe Asasi, be a good be a demand yasajo yere kwaka home, and these guys keep destroying families. And then later you say, oh, because of the tone, we should then go to ABCD and apologize to them. Yes, you see, Ken because of Ken no. The support base is where grassroots now say Sadia Okayo. So it has to be a fine balance.
Yeah.
And what is the fine balance? The fine balance is that from January till now,
right
now Ken speaks modestly, Ken speaks nicely,
Ken
address settle down already about FM.
Ken will be Ken.
Ken will be Ken. That's it. And I know America is about FM.
I mean him. On the meeting.
None the question.
Yeah.
What America? You are invited. Then people place a call here to US chapter MPP.
Yeah.
And sa no panel event na no my friend Crawford say sa Ken movement is not recognized by the MPP in cancel event.
Oh,
who does that?
Yeah, it's
true. And how then
no Ken will be Ken.
Ken will be Ken.
I support.
Right now, Ken will be Ken.
All right.
Let Ken be Ken. But at the same time, Ken is like a boxer.
Yeah.
When we are in the ring, you beat your opponent so mercilessly.
Yeah.
But he doesn't go about after so a free ring in himself. We share we are no abono.
There's that mutual respect.
He's a nice person.
All right. Final word. Friends of Ken. I was from a magazine. No more team.
I want time is about.
now 3 years me ma 20 minutes were high it is mama 1 hour
mame final word no address it mame address it just I mean just 2 minutes but just 2 minutes mame address it the second chance
1 minute
oh second chance mean for 1 minute mame try
yeah the time so
the catch party for the Ghana for nyina say MPP abakosem no ya to ankrofo so but akama me kasa amfo na ede e chene nto aso
yeah
omo ayamo makọ ni mpre no ni mpre sa so nyina e demonstrate so metima ede aye bibi
right
adubu ahyekofa the party ni baaye okonya 30.9%.
Right.
Second time kwa mana nkobi because say wanya de.
Right.
President Kufuor de ko 39%. No wa chese obetima yede ayo nti e mana to aso. Ana o de kokko wi ni. President Kufuor do eso kura be fa President Kufuor 39% no de ko 49. Ono kura de o ka wi ni first round.
Yeah.
Ana chiri e call ya osade yede e bai. Nti wuntimi me fa Kufuor do de even the recent one na emeteso by 33%.
Right.
Ukrum kwateso by 16%. Emeteso by 1.6 almost 1.7 million votes.
Right.
Now one show demonstration be I was a reward of second chance. In the end, I see a Magana for the party for United second chance, no, and not just contingent on showing up, but has always been premised on performance.
Right.
And Yakotoaba out of 9 regions, you were Makuma Kunenti ACs, MPP will move 5. You were 4 regions were you need just 1 parliamentary slot seat. Abaya Koto Yano. Almost 400,000 of Yanko for to my parliamentary etutia presidential.
Right.
So it be a party in in the spirit of revival in Kenya. I say a quarter assemblies of God in the presby to the in Kenya. Party in 32 years. Dr. Bawumia President Kufuor 16 years. The nipa be o my abwa o mun free scene him. Ni emfo obi obetima gitumi aba. And that is Owura Kennedy Ohene Agyapong.
Yeah, that's it. They say aka 4 months, right?
Aka 4 months, yeah.
And now more for 61%, you know.
62 to 64.
62 to 64. Because you can't hear that's it. Yamin Shram.
I boss no ko pa o. You 200 o.
So I know about.